As a 20-year-old investor that is going to have a seven-figure portfolio literally tomorrow once this property closes, is that a lot of people are in positions where they're very scared to talk about politics just overall. And I think the biggest problem with that whole mindset, especially if you're in real estate, is because if you are not looking at politics as a whole, right, the political interests of these people that are in positions of power, especially as an investor, it's like being a farmer and never looking at the weather. Like, you really need to look at this. And I can give a prime example of this. This is someone that's, primarily in the whole Section 8 investing side. There are a lot of individuals that are against it, right? That are in the political side. But the way that they frame it as if they're trying to get people to get off of it so they could be in a position where obviously people are going and working harder, right? But there are obviously individuals that are in positions where they just can't work, right? Say they're disabled veteran, a person that's empty nester, family passed away, they can't do anything. But when you always think of everything as with the perspective of the individual that you are going against, it makes everything so much easier. And let me explain this, right? Section 8 was trying to get cut by Ronald Reagan, and then it just trickled down into present day with Trump still trying to get rid of it, even though he started in 2017. Now you're probably thinking, okay, well, why would you want to get rid of this, right? There are millions of people on this, right? It doesn't make sense to go and make millions of people homeless overnight. That's one factor, right? But if you're not looking at politics, you don't understand that. Second factor, alongside these millions of people that are in positions where they are getting, almost free rent from the government, there are a lot of individuals that own these properties, just like myself, that may be in positions, right? These other people may be in positions where they're super overstretched. They understand I'm getting my rent on the first, doesn't matter. I could go and scale really fast. They scale super fast because they had that predictability, and now they're in a position where if that gets cut, they won't have the reserve available to go and be in a position where they change out traditional tenant. Not to mention these people that are going to be protesting about the fact that their Section 8 vouchers are basically getting cut and it doesn't matter anymore. That's going to be even harder to get them out. And it's because then they'd be in a position where they're like, okay, well, where do I go? And at the landlord's fault, in the landlord perspective, it's like, I don't know, like, it's not on me. And it's not, me doing this. Alongside that, you're in a position where the bank does not give a flying fuck who pays this mortgage. They don't care. You have to think about that. The bank does not care. And that's what I'm saying. You have to think about the person and the perspective of the other side of the table, right? Whenever you're getting any sort of loan, you always want to think like the bank. Don't be thinking like the person that's obviously going and being in a position where they're getting the loan. So what I say back to this, you have to think about it now. People always come to me, hey, bro, if your Section 8 is such a great investment, why don't you buy every property? I don't have the funds to do that. I don't have the funds to buy every property. But one who does? Hedge funds. Hedge funds are probably the biggest owners of single-family homes in the entire U.S. I don't know the exact numbers on it, but I believe it was like well over 5 figures worth of properties that they own, right? People that go, they gather funds, they manage them for people, they do their payouts, all the above. Now, who's friends with these people? Political persons, right? Trump, all these other individuals that are political. So you're thinking, okay, well, if these people own these properties, right, why would they want to go and cut Section 8 if these people are receiving the rent from them? So it's a great question. So let me explain why they would want to do this. This is the only logical perspective I've seen on why they want to do this. Is that people are in positions where, they're gathering their funds, they're working hard, just like me, just like all the other investors that I know, to buy this property. They may be buying 1, 2 a year, maybe 1 a month, right? Which is nothing to people that are buying fucking 5 figures worth of properties, right? They're paying maybe a little bit below the price, whatever. But when you're in a position where you go and have access to funds to go and buy that, maybe you're putting a lot of your money in, so it's a lot of interest into it. You're getting that guaranteed rental check. However, you are not in a position like the hedge funds who have that unlimited money. So the reason why I'm thinking that they're in a position where they're going to cut Section 8 housing, or they're trying to do it, is because, one, they're friends with the people that own all these hedge funds that want to buy all these properties. Alongside that will get rid of people just like myself. If I'm stretched out, people that are stretched out, they can't replace a tenant in time. They get arrears. They're late on the mortgage. They can't replace a tenant in time. The tenant's protesting. All bad. Now, what does this lead to? People panicking, people selling. People don't want to get into Section 8 investing. People don't want to get into single-family, multi-family home investing because they're scared of this. And it's already happening. People are like, oh, bro, I don't want to get into it because Trump's going to cut it. He's been trying to cut it since 2017. And his own party, the Republican Party, has been saying no. It has to get through Congress, House of Representatives. It's an essential program since, I believe, 1938. So where I'm going with this is that if you're not looking at politics, not on a daily basis, but maybe a couple times a week, you're not going to be moving accordingly. People are scared. They'll be going away. That's already moving connection. That's already removing, competition for the hedge funds on one front. The other front is dead ass just removing it entirely for the people that have that unlimited money. Now, what's going to happen for those people that own these properties, just like myself, that maybe someone else that's maybe overstretched, is that they're going to fire sale their home, right? Because they're going to think, oh, fuck, well, I can't pay this shit. Fire sale. If they have arrears and they're in a position where they have those late payments, who's going to come in and swoop up and buy it at an auction? Who has the money to do that? Hedge funds. You have to look at this. And you probably think, oh, well, where are you getting all this information from? You can literally go online, understand who are the people that own most single-family homes. Hedge fund managers. Who has been bailed out by all these fucking tax cuts, all of these breaks? Hedge fund managers. Because there's still the false misconception that trickle-down economics is what's going to make the U.S. a better place. And this simply just is not the truth. Like, that's literally why Ronald Reagan had one of the fucking worst economies. Because he thought that that was going to happen. And I believe that, especially as I started to rank higher and start to do bigger things in this whole real estate game, is that, or just business game in general, is that people always say, oh, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. When you're closed-minded and you're starting out, people that are working 9 to 5s, they say don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. They don't want to talk about all that. But now when you start to go up a little bit, you realize that almost everything's political. Almost everything is. And I always thought, like why? Like, what is the reason why? So there is this shit. And the people that the action is taking is dead ass in the benefit of those individuals. And then when you also think about it too, on the political side of tax cuts, people are like, oh, well, Trump's trying to increase the taxes for the rich. Okay, yeah, but he's trying to increase income tax. And people are like, oh, well, what's the problem with that? The problem is that these individuals, right, these politicians, or these people that are, billionaires, super high multimillionaires, they don't make their money from income tax. So you think on paper to the average person, like, oh my God, he's raising the income tax. Everyone's getting, bro, Elon Musk will put like fucking 10K that he made in 1 year. Because they don't make money off of that. They make money off of the capital gains tax. I mean, the capital gains that they make on their investments, right? Or they'll pull a loan from it, and that's considered tax-free. But where do they pull a loan from? Their gains. Because they're avoiding taxes. If they increase the tax on, capital gains, maybe a possibility. If they're in a position where they give a higher rate on the loan, maybe another possibility to go and increase the amount of fair share that they pay. Or not interest on it, but like make partial of the loans like that on the gains taxable and everything. But to the average person, they see income tax on paper, oh my God, they're gonna do it. All it is really doing is just making you believe that they have your best interest. And you can look up almost any very successful multimillionaire, billionaire, they don't file a lot because they have the money. But why are they going to file on paper? So you get taxed 40%. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's why even Trump with his I forgot what the fucking name of his golf course was, but he used it to file a loss on his overall income, so he basically made no money. We know that guy doesn't have no money. So I know I went a little of a ramble, but I believe that especially if you're trying to break into this real estate game, really study politics and the ways people move, because in accordance to the way that they're moving, it's simply just for somebody else's benefit. That is not you. It's typically someone else that they answer to, because almost everybody in this world answers to somebody. So when you're seeing these decisions, right, they're trying to cut Section 8, wonder why, right? If you even look at something like these politicians that do, the golfing tournaments in Augusta, Georgia, the Augusta rule. There's a tax break of 14 days for short-term rentals because there was a golf tournament that was like 14 days long in Georgia, and that benefits those people that rented out their their $1 million mansions to these individuals that are coming across the world just for the tournament. But it's like, you don't worry about politics, that shit doesn't happen. And I've experienced this shit firsthand. I had a buddy that told me when he was selling his flip that he was staying in it for a little bit. He flipped it. And then he was in a position where he had to stay in it for like a month. So he had to, they kind of made it like a month or two. So they had it like a home. And he had pictures of his family, in the property, and people would walk through, but no one submitted offers. So there was no traffic. So he's like, what the fuck? Like, this property is brand new built. And the realtor told him, like, you want to know what it is? He's like, okay, well, just tell me straight up how it is, dude. And the individual that obviously was in a position where they were in the opportunity to submit the offer, did not want to submit an offer on this property because the person was black and they were also a Democrat. And unfortunately, it's because of obviously him selling the property in Detroit. There's some individuals that are like that. But if you're in a position where you're obviously taking that into consideration, it's very, 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 very hard for you to get by on some certain things. So eventually he went, removed all the photos, removed all the things that show any sort of support, just as a complete neutral home. Property got under contract 4 days later. So the inverse could happen as well. I'm not saying that like, oh, he's a victim, but it really trips you out how everything's connected. So there's a little bit of a tangent, a little bit of ramble, but I really think this is a very valuable video for most of you guys to watch, especially for the individuals, especially La Raza that doesn't want to get into politics, but that's the exact thing they want us to do. Because when you're not informed, you're not educated, you can't make decisions that are in your best interest, and you have individuals that don't have your best interest speak on your behalf. So I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions about anything I just said, leave a comment. I'll catch you on the next one.